A fancy evening. I am Karen Centilias from BSED English 1B. So in this video, I'm gonna make a video response to research journal article of Mr. Norman K. Denzin, which is entitled Interaction and Language Acquisition in Early Childhood. After reading the entirety of the research journal article, I can say that title itself speaks its content. The author shared an idea about an infant, a social being, and he said that infant begins life as a potentially social organism, the one that can see, hear, smell, taste, feel beat, cold, and pain. He also explained the relationship of caretaker to the infant in language development. Caretakers are the one who provide the infant with a universe of discourse which expands, modulates, and builds his social and socializing skills. The transformation model of language acquisition attempt to explain how speakers of a language are able to rearrange elements in their native language. Transformational grammar identifies such operations as substitution, what for, the ball, and displacement proposing of what permutation in others. It is assumed that these operations are linguistics universals found in all known languages. For me, if I are going to categorize this, it seems like a mixture of historical and a modern type of theory of language acquisition, since it's new for me. So on the other hand, the critical issues arrived in the article shows a brief critique of the transformation model of language acquisition, which is somehow have a point on criticizing its theory. So it is something that I also agree. The difference between theory of the grammar and theory of language in use was also discussed in this article. So a theory of language and of language acquisition must be more than a theory of the grammar of a given language. It must be a theory of language in use. It must be able to account for how the infant acquires, improvises on, and utilizes the linguistic symbols, meanings, and utterances it receives. It must be a formulation that takes into account nonverbal gestures as well as verbal utterances. So a definition of language which differs from a strict grammatical viewpoint must be offered. Language consists of more than rules of syntax, semantics, and morphology. It also discusses some forms of linguistics behavior, which are silent, vocal speech is defined as thought, public, verbal utterances, which are defined as speech, and paralinguistic gestures including facial movements, smiles, nods, frowns, as well as movements of the body. It is significant to give stimulus feedback to the child because nature to the child's sounds and utterances provide the stimulus feedback that leads to a convergence in sound patterning on the part of the child. Such convergences in response, in turn, lead the child to relate specific sounds to words, objects, situations, activities, and so on. However, this article also tackled about the different models of language acquisition, which are in the first phase of language acquisition, stimulus reinforcement principles operate. In the second phase of development, which will be term imitation, the child makes crude subjective links between the stimuli of others and his responses to them. Inner thought of a relatively undifferentiated nature is present in phase 2. And in phase 3, the beginnings of a self-conception are emerging. In summarization of the article, it shows here that there are some theory of language acquisition found in the module, since they have the same thought of such theory. It also gives me realizations which is very helpful in my studies, like the role of caretakers play a vital role for an infant's language development, the importance to give stimulus feedback to the child, and many more. So I guess that will be all. Thank you and have a good day.